I decided to do a large oil pastel of St. John's Church in Cullman, Alabama, specifically with the fair in mind. And as I said in my pencil video, I tend to not go with dry media very often. So I like to do something at least once a year to keep in practice. And really, I think that it's been a couple of years since I've done an oil pastel, so I was definitely rusty. You notice here I am layering colors for the brick facade, and you can try out color combinations on a spare sheet of paper, and I found that a yellow ochre covered by like a burnt sienna got me to a good vivid color that I felt like was an approximation of what the actual church's color is. And the thing that frustrates me, as you can see right here, is trying to do details with oil pastels is really difficult. And I have a precise, crisp style. So I think that's really what keeps me from doing more oil pastels. I do love how vivid the colors are. So here I did a light layer of the yellow ochre, and then I'm going on top just really heavy with the burnt sienna to give it a finished look. I did the same thing on the sky. I did a light layer of blue and went over real heavy with the white. When you do that, you get some more variety of color, and then you can come through with a scratch tool and scratch in some details that exposes the underlayer, and that at least lets me have some crispness. I do love oil pastels. They're a fun medium. They don't make my hand hurt the same way that pencil do, but it's just that lack of being able to be super, super crisp and precise, I think, that keeps me from doing more of them. So here, you always have to keep in mind when you're doing buildings especially what your light source is. So all the facades that face that light source need to be lighter, and you need to have a darker color for the shadow areas. And here I'm doing a door and starting to do details on the stairs. You notice I'm working my way from the back, which is the sky, the background, and now I'm doing the middle ground, which is the building, and I'll work my way forward. You might notice that I'm laying my hand on a piece of paper. That's to keep my hand from getting completely covered in oily pastels that I will inadvertently smear all over the painting. I do the same thing with all the dry media. I lay my hand onto a piece of paper, a clean piece of paper. And then when you're painting, you want to, try to keep your hand out of it too. So it helps if you're right-handed, you work from your left to the right, and vice versa if you're left-handed. Here you can see the trees are a lot easier to do than the building. The trees are actually gone now. They were destroyed in the 2011 tornadoes, but I feel like they're so sentimental for many people who love this church, go to this church, or just know it as a landmark. And just from an artistic point of view, I liked what they would add to the upper areas of the drawing, so I decided to keep them. And there I was doing the trunks first and then laying in the foliage, the main green color, and then the shadow colors. And then it's down to the foreground, the area that's closest to you. I know some artists break those rules about working from the back to the front, and that's fine. Once you know the rules, you can decide what your style is, and that might include breaking the rules, but it is good to at least know the rules and start with following them. I just do that pretty much in all my art. I always work from the back to the front. That's not part of my style, breaking that rule. What is part of my style is my very vivid colors. And here, as I move to the front pavement, you'll notice that I layer some browns and greens into it before I go over it with gray, just to unify the colors of the whole piece.